This crate hunting playstyle guide will show you step by step how you can reliably play as a raid boss in your PUBG matches. Looting can be tedious, slow, and it's very RNG dependent, so I've spent a lot of time learning how to game the crate drops so I can play with the best weapons, armor, and scopes in just about every match. This strategy can be played in solos, duos, or squads, and the background clip is the most recent duos game we played. But in reality, very little changes between them, with the main difference being how many eyes you have on the plane, and crate drops, and how many crates you need to loot to gear up your team. Alrighty, so the first step is the airdrop phase. You need to split up and drop into different car spawn areas. Now, the trick is to choose places with more than one nearby spawn, and a place with good map access so we can reliably have a vehicle and reliably chase the circle. The primary landing area is the backwards L-shaped compound to the right of school and apartments. The entire road from Rozok, past school and apartments, and further down southeast have multiple car spawns, and the L-shaped compound also has a car spawn in the garage. Depending on your squad size and your confidence in playing solo until meeting up with your teammates later, you would want others to drop either east or south of Georgopol, so you have a presence in the center and the west side of the map. The reason for this being access to the entire right side of the map is easy from the L-shaped compound drop, but accessing the west takes a lot of time with the terrain. So if the first circle is west, you may not be able to make it there in time without having someone at the Georgopol spawn. As you are flying down, you need to keep your eyes watching the span of the road, looking for car spawns even before you land. You must also watch other players heading for the same spawns, and also watch the compounds they may be landing in. As soon as you land, the number one priority is getting into a vehicle. Next, if you saw no one land at the L-shaped compound, head in there and do some quick looting. If the plane flew directly over the area for a quick parachute, you can probably loot everything in there. If you had to fly for a while before landing, you'll want to just loot the house first. Now, in regards to loot, the main thing you want is a backpack and just some kind of weapon. All you want to be able to do is pick up whatever you find on the crate and just have some kind of weapon just in case someone else rocks up there. And if someone else is there, they're probably not going to have much either. So even a pistol will do. But at the end of the day, having a weapon isn't necessary. If you get to the crate, as soon as it lands, chances are no one's even going to be there. Okay, so now that you have secured a vehicle and possibly have some starter loot, we need to focus on the first crate drop. When talking about crate timers, we will refer to the in-game circle timer. These timers are from anecdotal experience and recordings, as official spawn times aren't available. The first plane will fly over between 1:45 and 3:45 on the circle timer. Most planes seem to spawn between 3 and 3:30 on the timer. The first crate is the most important. It sets you up for the whole game, and if you can make it there in time, it is almost never contested, unless it drops right next to a high population area like school. You need to be close to the center of the circle with good sightlines by 3:30. Any later, and there's a high risk of missing where it drops, and now you're stuck in the middle of nowhere with hardly any loot. It's very easy to miss the first crate by greedily looting around your landing area, but you need to put things into perspective. What's more valuable? A level 1 vest, some 9mm ammo, bandages, or an AWM, 2 8x scopes, and a level 3 helmet? You've got to get into position by 3:30. It doesn't matter if you drive there naked, just get there for when it lands. If you have squad mates, you will want to spread out around the circle so you have coverage of the plane's entire path. Planes drop 2 crates about 10% of the time. So if you're able to watch the whole flight path, you can fast track your looting with securing double crates. A handy rule of thumb is that the crate takes 55 seconds to land, and this obviously changes slightly with elevation, so take that into account when you're trying to meet it as soon as it lands. After securing the first crate, you will have a window of about 7 minutes, give or take a few minutes, until the next crate. In this time, you need to find meds, ammo, attachments, and small scopes, as these aren't really found in crates. The best way to do this is to loot small, safe areas central to the circle, or to chase gunshots and hunt down a squad with your crate weapon. Taking out a squad will set you up, but it's the riskier option, so choose according to your playstyle. The second plane usually arrives 20 to 30 seconds before the zone closes in, but it can also come up to a minute after it closes. The second crate is much more likely to be contested, so make sure you scout the area, spread out and take cover, while sending one person in to loot if it looks clear. If only one person is close enough to the drop, they can make a judgment call to see if speed looting and bailing is a possibility or not. Otherwise, they can simply wait for the squad to arrive and help out. With the second crate secured, you should now be in a solid position to play out the rest of the game. Between two crates, random loot and possibly some kills, chances are you're decked, and you can now play out the game for a finish however you like. If you're missing key scopes or perhaps missed a crate, you can still go for a third, but the circle will be quite small at this point and the risk is high. The playing timers remain the same though, so watch for the 20 to 30 seconds before circle closing and for up to a minute after that for the next plane. And with great power comes great responsibility. We've personally lost a bunch of games due to having 4 people with snipers and scopes all tunnel visioning one area that we saw a guy once, only for us to all be flanked and killed, so make sure to stay aware of your surroundings regardless of your raid boss status. Now that we've covered when and where everything happens, it's time to look at the very important question of how to track crates. Here's a bunch of tips and tricks we've figured out to nail it every time. 1. Always mark the falling crate on the map. The best way to do this is to line up with the falling crate and set a marker well in excess of where you think it's actually landing. All that matters is that you've lined up the crate correctly. Guessing the exact landing position from a distance is extremely unreliable. But as long as you are lined up, you will find that crate eventually if you drive straight at your marker. 2. This one requires a buddy. If one of you is directly under the flying plane, place a marker at the end of the flight path. The other player who is not under the plane, but can see the crate, they can set their marker in line with the crate as you normally would, but have it intersecting the imaginary line between the guy under the plane and their marker. This lets you get an exact position of the crate on the map. And 3. No matter how sure you are about where that crate is landing, always drop a marker. If you have to divert from taking fire or difficult terrain, it's incredibly easy to lose track of where that crate was landing, and you can spend minutes just circling around a small area looking for it. Finally, if you're wondering about vehicle priorities, I personally think that the 2-seater bike is the best in the early game for its insane speed and ability to cross just about any terrain. Although towards the later game, the UAZ and Dacia become better choices as they provide cover during those crate fights. The buggy can be good in solos as it provides excellent cover from behind, so you can just take crates while under fire and drive off to cover with minimal risk. In all other scenarios though, the buggy sucks because of its terrible speed and tendency to slide and flip over the slightest change in terrain. Well, that about wraps up this crate hunting strategy guide. If you like the idea of highly mobile gameplay, thrilling fights around crates in bizarre locations, and walking around like a god, this could be worth learning for you.